So let's explain the plot. Our MC got asked on a date by two girls. But they both told him that they loves his best friend, and wants his help to get close to him. He helped them, but messed up. That time only this girl believed him. But I think she kind of to betray him, or not. After some time when all things got sorted, this new guy tried to steal MC's girl, but is he able to save her? Watch this. Spring has sprung, and our boy Jaro is on his way to school. He bumps into his super energetic friend, Himawari, who pretty much tackles him and makes him blush like crazy. They meet up with Sunchan, the baseball star, and things seem chill. Except, Himawari isn't feeling the vibes. Jaro asks Sunchan what's up, but Sunchan just makes things more confusing. After school, Sunchan heads off to practice, and Joro gets stuck with student council duties. But guess who shows up? The super pretty student president, President Cosmos. Sunchan gets jealous, but then Himawari freaks out and runs away. Joro finally finishes his work and is about to head home when President Cosmos asks him out on a date. Joro's totally surprised but says yes. He's so hyped for the date that he even gets a text from Himawari asking to hang out on Sunday. Saturday comes, and Joro waits for President Cosmos, who looks amazing when she shows up. They have a fun lunch and hang out at the park. But then, BAM, President Cosmos drops a bomb. She likes Sunchan and wants Joro to help her win him over. Joro's mind is blown, but he can't refuse. The next day, he hangs out with Himawari, trying to cheer her up. They have a good time, but then guess what? Himawari confesses she likes Sunchan too and wants Joro's help. Joro is like, seriously? Again, he can't say no. Back home, Joro is super bummed. He thought he was being a good friend, but both girls like his best bud. He's mad and decides to play a little game on them. The next day, he pretends to be nice to Himawari while secretly plotting revenge. He even lies and says President Cosmos wants to team up to help Himawari get with Sunchan. He comes up with this crazy plan to get them together. He does the same thing with President Cosmos, but of course, it all goes wrong. Joro's annoyed with both of them. At lunch, they're looking for him, so he hides out in the library. Guess who he bumps into? Sakin. She wants to chat, and Joro isn't exactly thrilled. But Sakin threatens to tell everyone about him helping the other girls, so they talk. And then, plot twist. Sakin likes Joro. Joro's totally shocked. She wants to meet him every day in the library. At first, he says no, but then gives in. Joro feels pretty down because after all this drama, the only girl who likes him is Sakin. Joro's annoyed when he runs into Sakin in the library. He ignores her, but she threatens to spill the beans about his plan to Sunchan. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, Joro agrees to talk. Sakin wants to know how he's helping the others. Joro denies helping Himawari at first, but Sakin clings to him until he caves. He manages to trick Sunchan into going to the movies with Himawari by saying he already saw the movie. Meanwhile, President Cosmos wants Joro to set her up with Sunchan for lunch. His plan? Have Sunchan carry files, then coincidentally bump into President Cosmos. But when she actually shows up, she gets nervous and starts talking like a samurai. Joro manages to salvage the situation and get them to have lunch, but Sunchan invites Joro too. He ends up ditching them early to meet Sakin. Back with Sakin, Joro asks her why she's helping him. She just wants to spend some time with him, even if it's a little. Joro, blinded by his crush on the other girls, makes fun of her and calls her ugly. Shockingly, Sakin doesn't care. She points out that Sunchan could like someone else, which throws Joro into a panic. As a reward for helping them, Sakin demands a student council library inspection. Later, during basketball practice, Joro gathers his courage and asks Sunchan if he likes anyone. Shocking twist. Sunchan confesses he likes Sakin. Joro is traumatized by the connection to the baseball event. Sunchan asks for Joro's help, but Joro can't risk the wrath of the other girls and declines. Joro tries to talk to Sakin about her feelings for Sunchan, but she brushes him off. She just wants to be with him, cookies and all. Just as things get heated, Sunchan shows up. Joro tries to play it cool. She storms off, leaving Joro feeling guilty for being so mean. Sakin even texts him, basically telling him to stay away from the library. She hints at something interesting happening on Monday. Over the next week, Joro continues to awkwardly help both President Cosmos and Himawari. One day, President Cosmos asks Joro to meet. When he arrives, she drops another bomb. Sunchan asked her for help getting close to Sakin. Joro is confused, then remembers his baseball analogy advice to Sunchan. But it's too late. President Cosmos realizes she doesn't need Joro anymore and leaves, determined to help Sunchan find a girlfriend. The same thing happens with Himawari. She reveals Sunchan asked for her help with Sakin too. Just like President Cosmos, Himawari accuses Joro of being a liar and ditches him. Suddenly alone, Joro bumps into Sakin. She gleefully tells him things are getting interesting. Even though the girls love him, they're forced to support Sunchan. Joro falls for her provocation, and right on cue, Sunchan, Himawari, and President Cosmos arrive. Joro's world explodes. He bumps into a furious Himawari, President Cosmos, and Sunchan. They're fuming, calling him a liar who used them like pawns. Joro, fed up, lets out a harsh laugh. He reveals how they've all been manipulating him for their own romantic schemes. The girls are devastated. Before Joro steps out, Sakin accuses him too. She questions why he manipulated her by pretending to prioritize her feelings while secretly helping the other girls. Joro is speechless. Everyone's anger turns towards him. Sunchan even punches him, declaring their friendship over. Sakin, however, remains calm and tells Joro to have faith in her. A week passes, and everyone knows about Joro's deception. He's isolated and friendless. But then, Sakin texts him to meet at the library. Arriving at the library, Joro finds Sakin waiting. Before they can talk, she asks him to bring her a book. Just then, Sunchan walks in. Apparently, he visits the library daily. Sakin asks Sun why he used Joro. Sunchan admits to manipulating Joro, but claims it's revenge. Back in middle school, a girl he liked confessed to Joro. Despite his efforts, she still seemed to have a crush on Joro. Now, Sunchan wants payback and is using the girl's feelings to achieve it. Joro is fuming, but Sakin throws another curveball. She confesses to Joro, admitting she's loved him since the baseball event last year. Joro remembers seeing a beautiful girl waiting outside, which must have been Sakin. Sunchan, surprised by Sachikin's confession, makes a bold move. Since the library is empty during lunch, he basically tells Sakin he has free reign over her. Creepy. But Sakin declares her faith in her horrible prince. That moment Joro finally comes out, and said you were right that those girls are horrible and uses guy as they want. Joro suddenly gets angry and told him, but you should use the girls who loves you. And asked him to apologize to them. After that Sakin asked Joro if he came back to library or not. Shy and nervous Joro said no and left the library. But Sakin has also invited Himawari and Costco too. Next day, he found President in his locker room and asked her to move. She apologized and leave. Then in class notice Himawari protecting his desk. At last, Sun apologized to everyone in classes, which made Joro name better. At library, he was telling that to Sakin. She asked him if he noticed that he has come to library. He became nervous. After that Sakin asked if he knew why Sun has crush on her. But he doesn't seem to know the real reason, and she asked him to wait. After that, he realized she was that girl from that day. And asked him again if he will come to library again. Kind of annoyed and nervous Joro said yes. And then Sakin started crying, and when Joro came close to him to console her, she kissed him on the cheek. Then Joro started thinking, if she is the only one who loves me. Joro's become a familiar face at the library these days. One visit, curiosity gets the better of him, and he asks Sakin about her disguise. Her answer? A demon is behind her. The mood shifts quickly as Sakin scolds Joro for neglecting Himawari and President Cosmos. Joro tries to brush it off, but Sakin hits a nerve. You used to be honest, Joro, she says. She challenges him to patch things up with the girls but then, Joro challenged her to make some new friends too. Determined to follow Sachikin's advice, Joro heads off to class. But fate has other plans. He bumps into Asunaro, a girl planning the flower dance, a special festival where one boy dances with 3 girls. Asunaro seeks Joro's input, and he blurts out Asunaro. Unfortunately, she politely declines. With 1 slot left to fill, Joro suggests Himawari. Himawari isn't exactly thrilled when Asunaro approaches her about the dance. Joro tries to smooth things over, but Himawari makes a quick getaway. He chases after her, only to find her sprawled at the bottom of the stairs. Checking on her, Joro takes the chance to apologize and ask if they can be friends again. Watching from a distance, President Cosmos feels a pang of jealousy. Next, Joro sets his sights on Sunchan. He proposes a silly challenge: whoever fails the next exam loses and has to be friends with the other. Sunchan's not interested in silly games, but a frustrated Joro blurts out his true desire, to be friends again. Thankfully, Sunchan apologizes, and they bury the hatchet. After school, Joro seeks Sachikin's advice on Himawari and Sunchan. Sakin, ever the strategist, offers to help with a little condition. Joro goes on a date with her. Joro agrees, completely unaware that President Cosmos overheard their conversation, and her mood darkens. Joro's day goes from not so great to worse. In the hallway, he bumps into Asunaro again. Before they can chat, a strange feeling washes over him, a creepy vibe coming from President Cosmos. He rushes off to find her, crying on the stairs. Upset that Joro only apologized to Himawari, Cosmos needs reassurance. Joro assures her that he cares about her too, and apologizes for the way he's been acting. An unlikely study group forms in the library. Sunchan apologizes to Sakin, and they all settle down to work. President Cosmos helps them with math, while Sakin tutors Himawari in Japanese. For a brief moment, it seems like Joro's managed to navigate the complicated maze of his friendships. But as they leave the library, a dark cloud appears. A newspaper headline screams, "Joro, the three-girl player." Exams are over, and Joro receives good news from Himawari. Both she and Sunchan passed. Just then, he gets a text from Sakin, asking to meet. But before he can head to the library, Asunaro intercepts him. Asunaro leads Joro to the rooftop, a place that sends shivers down his spine thanks to a past memory. There, she bluntly calls him a scumbag, accusing him of manipulating girls like President Cosmos, Himawari, and even Sakin. She throws a bombshell. She witnessed Joro at a baseball game last year, gazing longingly at a woman. Plus, she has a photo proving his involvement with the three girls. Joro denies it all, so Asunaro proposes a deal. If he can prove his innocence by the flower dance event, she'll scrap the scathing newspaper article she's planning. If not, everyone will know Joro, the three-girl player. Now under Asunaro's watchful eye, Joro bumps into President Cosmos. She reveals he's been chosen to dance with Himawari and a first-year girl at the flower dance. Joro hesitates, fearing Asunaro's misunderstanding, but Cosmos deploys her feminine wiles, convincing him to participate. At the library, Joro fills Sakin and the girls in on Asunaro's plan. Surprisingly, they're unfazed by the newspaper threat. President Cosmos then tries to lure Joro into a private post-school meeting to discuss the flower dance. Wary of getting in deeper, Joro agrees, but only on one condition: she needs to act cold towards him in front of Asunaro. Joro's next mission? Meeting the first-year girl chosen for the dance. However, upon learning of the rumors surrounding Joro, she's scared and declines to participate. This actually helps Joro's case. After all, a creepy man couldn't possibly have three girlfriends. The next day, Asunaro confirms the first year's withdrawal. Before she can propose herself as a replacement, Joro receives a text from President Cosmos. They've found a fourth member, Sunchan. Practice sessions become surprisingly fun as the group prepares for the dance. Meanwhile, Asunaro watches on, a hint of sadness in her eyes. Arriving at school the next day, Joro's greeted by a group of girls wielding the Joro, the three-girl player, newspaper. He denies its truthfulness just as Asunaro rushes in, clearing his name. She claims there might have been a mix-up with the real article and takes full responsibility for the misunderstanding. At the library, Cosmos suggests they stop meeting to avoid further damage to Joro's reputation. Later, Asunaro approaches Joro, confirming he's cleared his name, but also disappointed their practice sessions are over. Seeing how down Joro is, Asunaro proposes a surprising solution. They practice together. Asunaro beams with joy, oblivious to President Cosmos watching from a corner. She is not happy. A week has passed, and Joro finds himself spending most of his time with Asunaro, the only person who seems to believe in his innocence. He starts to develop feelings for her. Suddenly, Sunchan calls with bad news. The principal has banned two boys from participating in the flower dance, claiming it disrupts tradition. Sunchan assures Joro they'll find a replacement. Joro asks Asunaro to step in, and she readily agrees. He suggests they get President Cosmos' approval, who just happens to be nearby. President Cosmos is furious and drags Asunaro off to the student council. Joro insists on joining, but Cosmos refuses. Asunaro, worried about going alone, convinces Cosmos to let Joro come alone. At the student council, Cosmos asks Asunaro if she wants to participate in the dance. Asunaro enthusiastically agrees, but Cosmos rejects her. She explains that Asunaro should focus on writing articles to clear Joro's name, and questions why Joro is even there. Asunaro, flustered, insists Joro should stay. The tension increase. Asunaro threatens to write an article about Cosmos. Cosmo counters by accusing Asunaro of lying to everyone and manipulating Joro. Cosmos reveals she's been following Joro to get close to him, and that the damaging newspaper article was also Asunaro's doing. Asunaro denies it, but Cosmos presents CCTV footage as proof. She also reveals that Asunaro objected to the original two-man dance format. Cornered, Asunaro can't hide her lies any longer. Cosmos accuses Asunaro of trying to isolate Joro and try to be the only one by his side. When Joro joined the dance, Asunaro's goal shifted. Now she wanted to participate too. Just then, Cosmo revealed Asunaro loves Joro and was planning to propose. Unable to hold back, Asunaro confesses her own feelings for Joro, dating back to a baseball game where he accidentally saved her from a ball while looking at another beautiful woman. She then proposes, but Joro harshly rejects her. Asunaro, heartbroken, apologizes to Joro and Cosmos before leaving. The flower dance arrives, and Joro dances with Himawari. She asks if he has a crush on someone, and he truthfully replies no. Next, the beautiful President Cosmos takes his hand. She assures him no one knows about Asunaro, and thanks him for participating in the dance. Joro thanks her in return, but Cosmos surprises him with a kiss on the cheek, calling it a reward. Finally, it's time for the last dance. Joro's eyes widen in surprise. His partner is none other than Sakin, no longer disguised. She looks stunning. She playfully asks why he puts others first, reminding him she doesn't make friends. Joro realized she understands that his involvement with the girls, exams, dance, all under the name to help Sakin make friends. Despite the trouble it caused, Joro can't help but blush at her gratitude. Sakin then proposes indirectly, using the symbolism of a Western pansy. Joro's face turns even redder, unable to hide his affection. Backstage, Sakin thanks Himawari, President Cosmos, and Sun for being her friend. Joro enjoys a rare day off, only to find his biggest surprise, or maybe nightmare, at breakfast, Sakin. She's there to whisk him away to a water park after lunch, much to his mother's amusement. Joro finds himself surrounded by the familiar faces of Sakin, President Cosmos, Himawari, and Sunchan. They all have a blast splashing around and enjoying the rides. While waiting for drinks, Joro encounters a girl he vaguely recognizes. She asks him for advice on apologizing to someone she wronged. Joro gives her some simple advice. A sincere apology is all it takes. And even asked for his preference, Joro told her he liked girl with black hair. Suddenly, the girls turn competitive. They each want to spend the most time with Joro and win a wish from him. This leads to a series of mishaps and near disasters. First, Joro goes on a water ride with Himawari. However, his swimsuit malfunctions, causing a wardrobe malfunction. Thankfully, Sunchan appears just in time to save the day. Next, Joro joins President Cosmos on a dolphin ride. Two young children comment on them being lovebirds, which sparks Cosmos' imagination. Lost in a daydream, Cosmos doesn't notice Joro. Again, Sunchan swoops in to the rescue. Joro then spends some time with Sakin. They both express their gratitude, Sakin for having friends now, and Joro for the motivation to make amends. Just as Sakin starts revealing a secret, Sunchan appears, almost comically, for another rescue. At the end of the day, Joro announces that Sunchan was the one he had the most fun with. The next day, all the girls apologize to Joro, including the one who blackmailed him with the newspaper article. Even the red-haired girl, Sasankwa, has dyed her hair black after Joro's comment about black hair. The episode takes us back a year to a baseball game. Joro's cheering for Sunchan and ends up buying food from a cute girl working at a booth. They chat, and the girl's impressed by Joro's supportive spirit. She even tells him that if she had someone like him in her life, she'd totally work harder. Feeling a connection, she asks for his name just as Joro's about to leave. Fast forward to the present. Joro's mind is blown when a girl named Subaki waltzes into class and plants a kiss on his hand. She introduces herself as the daughter of a food business owner, and a memory clicks in Joro's head. Subaki is the girl from the baseball game. This revelation doesn't go unnoticed. Sasankwa fumes, Asunaro looks daggers, and Himawari threatens to spill the beans to Cosmos and Pansy. Joro feels like he's stuck in a flashback nightmare. Subaki, oblivious to the drama, declares her devotion to him, offering to do whatever he wants. Joro's overwhelmed. He wants to avoid getting played again, but Subaki's persistence wins. When she offers to serve him, he caves, and even lets her pack his lunch. Things get even crazier at the library. Subaki introduces herself and starts chowing down on her lunch for Joro. But wait, Cosmos also made lunch for him. Before Joro can say anything, he ends up eating both lunches. Gotta keep his energy up, right? After lunch, Pansy asks Joro to stay. She shyly offers him her favorite book, admitting they don't have much to talk about. Joro, feeling a pang of guilt, accepts the book and tells Pansy he might not be able to make it to the library after school. Wandering the mall later, Joro gets tackled by Himawari. Back home, he realizes Pansy's book is missing. Frantic, he rushes back to the mall, retracing his steps. Two girls see him freaking out and offer to help. They find the book, but it's in rough shape. Joro assures them it's no big deal, he'll just buy a cheap replacement. But the girls surprise him. They know someone who has that exact book, and the price tag is super expensive. Back at the library, Joro's in full-on panic mode. He needs a job to afford this crazy expensive book. Subaki, ever the opportunist, offers him a job at her family's food stall. Joro, desperate, agrees. This means no library for him after school, which breaks Pansy's heart. Then, asked Pansy to talk about something. He apologizes, explaining the whole situation. Pansy's bummed, but understands. Joro asked to keep the book, as he doesn't finish it. Joro works super hard at his new job to buy a special book. He's tired, but won't give up. Himawari asks about the book, but Joro changes the subject. Pansy is sad because Joro doesn't visit the library after school anymore. They agree to hang out again once he reaches his goal. Joro messes up at work. Feeling down, he bumps into Pansy on his way home. Pansy tells Joro he shouldn't try to fix everything alone. Joro gets stressed and yells at Pansy. He quickly realizes he made a big mistake. At the library, Pansy pretends to be okay, but Joro knows he's in trouble. Sunchan tells Joro not to give up on something important. Later, Joro talks to a stranger about his fight with Pansy. The stranger tells Joro to focus on making things right with the person he hurt. Joro apologizes to Pansy and explains he's working to buy her book. Pansy is happy and tells him to keep working hard. Finally, Joro earns enough money. He rushes to buy the book, but someone else just bought the last copy. Disappointed, he runs into Himawari, who has the book. She saved up her money to buy it, even skipping tennis practice. Joro gets mad because he doesn't want her to do that. Himawari cries because she just wanted him to be happy. They both apologize and sort of understand each other. Himawari wins her tennis match and thanks Joro for the new racket with a kiss on the cheek. They celebrate at Subaki's restaurant. Sakin asked about message in the book to Joro. Joro jokes that he might help if he has time. Joro and Subaki wash dishes together. Subaki tells Joro he's a good friend who keeps everyone connected. The episode ends with a feeling that things are a bit better, even though there were some problems. Joro gets dragged into the science lab by Tampopo, his old dance partner. She wants him to help set up Sakin and Sun as a couple. Apparently, Sun's baseball performance will improve with a girlfriend, which helps Tampopo as the baseball club manager. Joro can't say no because he doesn't want Pansy's secret identity to be revealed. Asunaro shows up and joins the plan. She thinks if Sakin is with Sun, Joro will be hers. They pressured Joro to play along. At the library, everyone is happy beside Cosmo is sad. Asunaro then enters the library, tries to act clingy with Joro, making the other girls jealous. Tampopo tries to make Joro put his arm around Sakin to make Sun jealous, but he refuses. She then gives Joro a walkie-talkie and tells him to talk to Pansy. Just then, Himawari, Cosmo and Subaki arrive, foiling the plan. Joro surprises everyone by announcing he'll confess his love for Pansy. Joro tells Tampopo he's not going along with the plan anymore. He was actually lying to help Sun, and figures out Tampopo's real goal, to get Pansy a boyfriend. He even knows Tampopo is hiding the fact that she knows Pansy. Tampopo freaks out and runs away. Sakin asks Joro to leave her alone, but Joro wonders why she's protecting Tampopo. She reveals she has bad memories of people forcing her to get a boyfriend in middle school. We also learn that the school might be closing the library, which makes Cosmo sad. Sakin hugs Joro and tells him Tampopo apologized. She basically gives Joro the green light, but Joro notices the earpiece. Tampopo is still scheming. Cosmo arrives with bad news: the school is closing the library. Everyone wants to save it and suggests to invite people to visit library, but Joro doubts he have enough friends. He bumps into that guy, Hazuki, again and spills the library woes. Hazuki agrees to help, having faced a similar situation at his own school. He brings his friends Cherry Tsukimi to help. Pansy recognizes Hazuki and his friends, and seems scared. Joro realizes Hazuki likes Sakin, but Sakin is not comfortable. Hazuki's friends introduce themselves and then, Tsukimi asks if Joro likes Pansy, but he said he can't answer right now. Everyone works together to revamp the library with posters and a new layout to attract more visitors. Later, Tsukimi asks Joro to talk. Asunaro figures out the plan is to set up Hazuki and Pansy. She takes Pansy away. In restaurant, Cherry told them that she and Tsukimi both like Hazuki, but he only has eyes for Pansy. They ask Joro for help, but he refuses, as he doesn't harm Sakin's feeling. Joro feels down and rushes to the library. He asks Sakin to explain the situation. She reveals Hazuki is the demon she was hiding from. Sakin used to be super popular, but everyone had bad intentions towards her. Only Hazuki and his friends were genuine. The problem? Hazuki's good intentions backfire, unintentionally hurting people, especially girls. That Joro realized that Hazuki can't understand Cherry and Tsukimi's feelings, and once accidentally hurt Sakin with his kindness. Sakin is worried that Hazuki will hurt others again. Joro promised to do something about it, and Sakin said she will do something too. The library is busy, but Sakin is still down. Joro sees Hazuki bothering her, and Cherry and Tsukimi trying to push them together. Sun notices and intervenes. Joro talks to Tamapopo, who reveals she loved Hazuki and wanted Pansy to have a boyfriend to avoid him. Tamapopo also says Sakin loves Joro, and he is the only one who can save Sakin. Joro asks Hazuki what he'd do if Pansy had a boyfriend. Hazuki says he'd congratulate her. Pansy then tells Joro she's dating Sun and doesn't love him anymore because he doesn't pay attention. She tells him to not come to the library for some time. At school, Joro confronts Sun, realizing it was all Sun's plan. Sun says he was just helping Joro to spend time with Pansy, like Joro helped him. Sun tells Joro to do what he's supposed to do as a best friend. Subaki overhears. At work, the girls, Himawari, Asanaro, etc., visit Joro. They're happy their plan to save library is successful. Subaki tells Joro he's the only one who can save Pansy from Hazuki and the girls. Joro thinks it's pointless since Sun is his boyfriend, but then remembers Sun's words about doing what he needs to do. That, Sun is not actually dating her. He decides to help Pansy. Joro calls Sun and cancels cheering him on at a game because something more important came up. Sun understands and wishes him luck. At the library, Hazuki confesses to Pansy again. When Cosmo tries to help Pansy, Cherry and Tsukimi stop her. Joro arrives and challenges Hazuki to a contest. The loser will stay away from Pansy. Hazuki, shocked, agrees. Joro proposes a beret contest like a popularity contest. Whoever gets the most berets during a baseball event wins. In case of a tie, their baseball teams will play an extra game for one more beret. Cherry and Tsukimi object, but Hazuki accepts. Cosmo, Himawari, and Asanaro ask if they can give berets. Joro agrees, but they all give theirs to Hazuki, revealing they love Joro and see Pansy as a rival. We start with a flashback to a baseball event where Joro is waiting for Sunday. Pansy comes up to him, expresses her interest, and asks for a coffee date, but Joro declines as he's waiting for his friend who might be feeling down after the match. Pansy then smiles and suggests being friends, to which Joro agrees to be her best friend. She leaves. Next, we learn about Sun's childhood where everyone dislikes him for being too good. Only one person, Shiba, talks to him, but eventually, even Shiba betrays him. Instead of getting angry, Sun is scared of being hated, so he starts putting on a fake smile. Now, back in the present, it's the day of the tournament. Joro recalls how the other three girls proposed to him and are waiting for his answer after the tournament. During that time, Himawari gave him a distraction by asking him out to divert his focus from the game. But Joro understands the situation and decides to get a disguise. We learn how Sun became friends with Joro as they both had a tendency to put on fake personalities. Sun feels sad when Joro doesn't show up, but little does he know, Joro is already there. Sun also notices Shiba's presence. The match begins, and Sun is in the lead so far. Joro encounters a young girl who is crying, and he helps her find her sister. Later, Joro finds Cherry and asks her for the beret, but she refuses to give it to him. Joro causes a bit of trouble for her to keep her occupied and then makes a quick getaway. Joro encounters another crying girl who has lost her keys. While Joro is helping her, the game is slipping out of Sun's control, but he still has to bat. After that, he asks Tsukimi for the beret, but she refuses. Joro gets caught by Himawari and Asanaro. Hazuki then intervenes and asks to speak with Joro before the final judgment. Meanwhile, Sun reflects on how Joro once protected him from behind his back and realizes that Joro uses his true personality to protect others, unlike Sun who only protects himself. Hazuki reveals his true intentions and adds a new condition to the punishment: the loser will not be allowed to meet Sachikin's friends. Hazuki seems to want Joro to lose everything. Sun remembers about his middle school crush and how she asked for his help to get closer to Joro. Shiba apologizes to Sun and admits that he was jealous of him from the beginning and wanted to be like him. Sun advises Shiba to be himself. Himawari and Cosmo try to prevent Cherry and Tsukimi from giving their berets. They share their feelings and explain that they were also in love but couldn't act on it, just like them. Cherry reveals that the book was actually beaten by her and apologizes to Joro. She confesses her love for Hazuki, but he turns her down. Cherry gives her beret to Joro, while Tsukimi gives hers to Hazuki. Joro decides it's just a warm-up match. Subaki arrives and reminds them of the rule that Joro can receive barrettes from more than 6 girls. All the other girls come forward and give their barrettes to him. The score becomes 10 versus 4, but Hazuki also gathers more girls. Hazuki outnumbers with a score of 98 versus 10. Joro declares his loss, shocking everyone. Hazuki introduces a new punishment where even Pansy's friend cannot meet Joro. As the tension rose, Hazuki made his confession and made a move towards Sakin, but Joro intervened, claiming his loss but not theirs. Sun and Tampopo arrived with all the baseball supporters. Hazuki inquired about the baseball game, only to find out they had won that too. Then, Hazuki asked Pansy for a barrette, but she passed it to Joro, revealing her love for him. This realization hit Hazuki hard, and Sakin reminded him of the consequences. Joro emerged victorious. When questioned about his feelings, Joro confessed his love for Sakin and asked her to be his girlfriend. Pansy was shocked, and the others seemed saddened, but Joro asked every girl out. Despite the fallout, Joro's true intentions were revealed. He'd do all of this to mend their friendships. Rushing to Sun with food, they shared a meal in the park. Sun, feeling rejected in the past, asked Joro if he was the only one who cared for him. At night, on his way home, Joro encountered the real Sakin, who thanked him for keeping his promise. Walking her home, she confessed her love to him, to which Joro responds, "Isn't the moon lovely?" which means I love you, and here this anime ends. Please like and subscribe. And comment down your favorite character. Mine is Sakin. Peace.